Hello, my name is Will Danheim, and I'm principal cellist with the opera and the Ozarks Orchestra. I'm also working on my doctorate degree at the University of Houston. I have a master's degree from Baylor, and in between those two things, I taught high school as an orchestra director. I've also spent time as a private lessons teacher, and I've been a judge for high school auditions. One of the things that I want to emphasize is that those metronome markings are not all mandatory. Read the instructions carefully and ask your teachers. But I've been a judge before, and if I'm listening to an etude or an excerpt and it's really fast, but there's notes that are missing, what I prefer is someone that plays a little bit slower with more notes, more rhythms, and a better tone quality. So keep it in mind when you're working on these pieces, that those metronome markings, again, read the instructions, but not all of them are mandatory. Some of them are just a general idea, and you can be within 10 clicks of that. Again, ask your teacher for clarification if you have any doubts about that. But I have been a judge, and I think that that's important to say, and some people forget that you're not recording with a metronome on. It's just you, and you're playing your instrument, and what's important is the idea of the piece. And if you can convey the general feel of the piece at a lower tempo, then I encourage you to do so. And good luck, and congratulations just on learning the music and being interested. You should just already be proud that you're getting better. For the scales, I'd like to play it slowly once while saying fingerings that I recommend. And you can follow along in your part and mark the fingerings if you would like. This is the E major scale. I start on a first finger. Shift to first finger. Shift to first finger. Shift to first finger. Shift to the A string, first finger. Shift to the first finger. Shift to the first finger. And now we change. We shift to the third finger. Shift to the third finger. Shift to the fourth finger. Third finger. Extend, fourth finger. Shift to the fourth finger. Shift to the fourth finger. And last, go to the first finger E. In tempo. G melodic minor, open D, shift to first finger G, shift to first finger C natural, shift to first finger F sharp, first finger B flat, first finger E natural, extend second finger F natural, third finger D, third finger A, fourth finger E flat, B flat, fourth finger, second finger F natural, C, and then hold, and 3, and 4, and at tempo. Hebrides Overture, Fingal's Cave Overture. there's a tricky shift that happens. Second line, third measure. We're on the second finger F sharp. Then we have to shift to fourth finger on the D string. Shift to third finger F sharp. In general, we want to think of this as being a cave is mysterious. So it's a sense of wonder. At the beginning it's the melody, so we can vibrate those quarter notes. But there's this underlying excitement of the unknown. Starting in the third line, we're no longer the melody. We're underneath the violins. So be sure to listen to recordings of this on YouTube. As far as the tempo goes, I recommend taking it slower than what's marked. The tempo markings are not a requirement. What the judges really care about is, are those the right notes? Are those the right rhythms? Is there a good tone? Is there musicality? Which just means, I guess, direction and emotion. But it's the idea, can you paint the picture of a cave? It's a real cave, you can look it up. Here's the Hebrides Overture, Fingal's Cave Overture. The Poet and Peasant Overture by Franz von Suppe. This cello solo happens about a minute and 10 seconds into recordings. You can listen to it. The dynamic is mezzo forte. You can go ahead and play forte. The only other thing going on during this melody is the harp is playing triplets, hypothetically, since you're playing this by yourself. But they're going 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, while we play a solo. I'll play the solo slowly once and include the shifts. Shift to first finger. Third finger. Second finger. Third. First. I'll break down that measure really quickly. It's hard enough that I couldn't talk while playing it. Second line, first measure. It's first finger E. First finger A, which is also a harmonic. Extend second and third finger to C sharp. Now shift a half step away from that to G sharp. And then shift one more time to C sharp. Now what I do here to fix the bowing problem is that's a down bow on the A, and I just do small pause. Keep going down bow for the B natural. Second finger for vibrato. First finger. 2. Shift to first finger. Third finger. Second finger. This is the last line, and this is a cadenza. You're going to keep the first part of this part, keep that in normal tempo. After that, the rhythm doesn't need to be accurate anymore. What matters are the notes with the fermata on them. You hold them basically until you start running out of bow. So I like to show off my vibrato on these fermata notes. So what I'm doing is I'm shifting to a second finger here. This is the fourth line, first measure. Now, third finger, and I take my time and I slide up to the C sharp. And now what I do is I shift to a first finger, now to a third finger F sharp, fourth finger G natural. Now we have a G sharp, and then I go to a third finger here. Mozart, number 40 in G minor, first movement. This is not the beginning of the piece. If you listen to a recording, it's about 3 minutes and 50 seconds in, maybe 4 minutes and 10 seconds, depending on how fast they go. But skip to that middle section and see if you can pick this out. To practice this, what I do is I take this figure that we get in the first line, which is, and I imagine that same bowing. So I look at the second line now, and I go, and I think of that melody happening under these eighth notes. So it's, next line is that same idea, ba-da-ding, da-da-do-do. So maybe I start by going, so a couple of gnarly shifts in here. When you go to the second line, last measure, the A before that is a fourth finger. Another important shift is fourth line, last measure. I go to a second finger D, and then a first finger for the next D. And I go to a first finger, this is the last line, third note, first finger on the E natural, and then a fourth finger on the D.